Thanks, Aishwarya, for nice introduction. Namaskar, distinguished delegates of this Global Clean Energy Summit. It's really an honor and privilege to be here among such a distinguished audience. When I was approached by Mr. Puneet to have the opening remark on this summit, I thought what to say because there are so many distinguished speakers lined up. But what I thought is just to look at the 50 years journey of renewable energy movement. Why I am telling this thing is that in 1973, that was the year, the first oil shock was there, and every country world over have thought to have energy independence, and then the renewable energy movement started all over the world. In India also, we also started at the same time in 1972 with a small division dedicated to renewable energy, which ultimately was transformed to Department of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, and then ultimately the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So in this journey, if we look at, there are three different phases. The first phase was of 70s or early 80s, which was basically meant to support the research and development and technology development aspect, and then the demonstration of some of the prematured or the mature technologies. But a shift came in 1991 with the sanction of India Renewable Resources Development Project by World Bank. That's the first IDA credit line in the renewable energy all across the world, in which ultimately resulted in commercializing the wind and the small hydro sector. And of course, some work was also done on decentralized solar photovoltaic systems. From there, the commercialization aspect came. Lot of initiatives have been taken by the government in different forms. But the initial phase, the focus was more on energy independence. The driving force is to be independent, but the work, the way we have been going on, was mainly to support, it's basically the subsidy-driven program sort of thing. And then in 2008, prior to Copenhagen negotiation, when the National Action Plan on Climate Change was launched, the driving force totally shifted from energy independence to the climate aspect. And the clean energy became the buzzword. When as part of the National Action Plan on Climate Change, this 20 gigawatt of grid-connected solar capacity addition by 2022 was announced, we all were susceptible whether we would be able to achieve it. In fact, when in 2010, the first National Solar Mission document came, we had actually that 20,000 megawatt was distributed in three phases. The first phase was the first 3 years, 2010 to 2013, to have 1,000 megawatt capacity, followed by 3,000 megawatt capacity, and then ultimately 20,000 megawatt capacity by 2022. So that was the initial phase where everybody was doubting about the capacity of Indian industry, developers, policymakers, everybody, whether we would be able to achieve that much or not. But, and by 2014 I should say, the total installed capacity by that time was not even, I should say, 10 gigawatt or something like that. It's very small solar capacity I am talking of. Of course, the wind was progressing well till that time. In 2014, after this new government came, and suddenly in the Paris negotiations, we announced to have 175 gigawatt renewable energy capacity by 2022. And that was a sudden jump from 20 gigawatt to 100 gigawatt. Okay? And that 20 gigawatt, by way of the forward-looking thing, there were a number of initiatives which were taken. The first one being the blending of solar power with the thermal power, and then the reverse bidding, tariff-based reverse bidding. There are a number of steps were taken, and we could surpass that 20 gigawatt number by 2017 itself, and the tariff parity also was achieved by that time. And of course, we have been progressing, but somehow we lacked to achieve what we thought to have achieved by 2022. So that's the point basically which I thought to bring to the notice of all distinguished delegates, to think of whether what we have targeted now to achieve 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel based energy systems by 2030, and to achieve net zero, net carbon zero energy by system by 2070. Today, if we look at that against the 175, we are, this is the February figure, we are somewhere around 136 gigawatt, of which the solar has around 75 or 76 gigawatt. And we are targeting to have 300 gigawatt by 2030. Meaning by, we will have to add something around 225 gigawatt in next 6 years, which means something around 30 gigawatt capacity addition every year. We want to have something around 160 gigawatt of wind. We are somewhere around 46, 47 gigawatt today, meaning by another 120 gigawatt from wind, which means something around 20 gigawatt capacity addition every year. So what needs to be done? That is one aspect. And the challenges associated with so much capacity addition when we will have the equal number, means something around 270 gigawatt of the thermal capacity, which serves our base load, and then we'll have something around 300 gigawatt, or if you leave it that at a very conservative figure, 250 gigawatt, means it's equal number. Then the challenges which we all have been foreseeing. And that's why actually if we look at the planning aspect, that everything is being talked of. We have also started talking of storage. When we started our career way back in 1980s, we were telling that grid is unlimited source of storage thing. We can feed whatever we feel like. But today we have been talking about grid congestion, grid capacity addition and everything. And that's why we have been talking about storage. There was a good presentation on hydrogen. We are having to have 4 million metric ton of hydrogen production by 2030. We want to add again now the green capacity in the large hydro capacity, basically, which has now been talked about, the renewable, which was not earlier classified as renewable. In India, though world over it was renewable since beginning, but in India, because of some reason, administrative reason I should say, the large hydro was not being treated as renewable. Now we have something around 46 gigawatt, we want to go to 74 gigawatt. So again, that 35 gigawatt or whatever that number, 30 gigawatt number on hydro. So the next 6 years, we have to speed up, we have to think how we can achieve what we have targeted, and then ultimately what we are going to, whether we are going to achieve what we have committed to the world community, that by 2030 we will be having something around 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel based system, and by 2070 this is the net zero economy. So I think, I hope that whatever deliberation would take place subsequently would address on all these issues and will deliberate on that. With that, thank you. Thanks organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Big round of applause for Dr. Pant, please.